Welcome, everybody. Hi, I'm Greg Andruck. You can see that down below. It's a little early, but I want to get all the early birds and think that we're not doing this. So here we are again at the Business Freedom Conversation live. And I think this is the ninth one. We've been doing this a while. So it's going to click 1 o'clock here in a second. That's my time, 12 noon Pacific. There we go. So we're going to fire this off. This is a little different business freedom conversation live because this time it's just me. And the reason it's just me is I'm kind of setting the table for the November and the December ones because we're at year end. There's a lot of things afoot in the business world, and I think it requires a lot of planning. So I'm going to start with these few items that I have that kind of set the table as to where we are and what's happening. Again, I'm Greg Andruck, for those of you just signing on now, and it's the Business Freedom Conversation Live. So to start with, I want to reiterate why we call this the Business Freedom Conversation. Most people, the largest reason people go into business for themselves is to have more freedom. Um, I think it's kind of an interesting conundrum they wind up in that they wind up getting restricted by the things that they're doing. And so we've designed a newsletter. We've got this live stream and I have a YouTube channel that each month gets a little larger with all the resources that you can look up as to uh, what will help you run your business. The YouTube channel is a fabulous resource. It's Greg Andruck Business Freedom Conversation. And a little while at the end of this, I'm going to post into the chat the links to these different things that'll give you these resources. Um, but over on the YouTube channel, at the bottom of the video, there will also be the links. And what we've done on the YouTube channel is we've taken the larger videos, like the newsletter and this, and we break it into the different subject matters, which makes it searchable by those subject matters. So it's easy to go right to the 2 or 3 minute thing that might answer a question that you have. So again, that's why we call it the Business Freedom Conversation. We're here to help you either maintain or recover your freedom as a business owner. So let's start with my first bit of information here. So I love this picture of Albert Einstein. And I think that's where we are right now with so many things changing. When you get into the yin and yang of stagflation, I love his quote. It's used a lot by a lot of people. I love this picture of him. The significant problems of today cannot be solved at the same level of thinking that created them. So, in essence, we're in a brave new world here where we have all these things happening, where we have the economy going down, where we have inflation going up. These are things that until about 1970, the economists didn't think was even possible. So here we are with a second time, 40 years later of having this where the economy is slowing down. I mean, just to yesterday, Microsoft announced they're laying people off. Now we technically are in a recession because the first and second quarters of 2022 were economic decline, and the third quarter numbers are going to come out any day, and the preliminary information is not looking good. That is probably going to be 3 quarters of a decline, but even if the third quarter does edge up slightly, you have all these major players, everybody, from Disney to Goldman Sachs, laying people off. Blue collar workers are still in demand, but with housing coming to a screeching halt, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, it's a brave new world. So here's something to consider that nothing exists in isolation of anything else. That's an IPEC is a coaching school I went to, and it's a foundation principle. They've got 35 of them. It's interesting to consider that all these things are related. We are each intimately connected to everything else at all times, everywhere. So that means the decisions that we make affect other people, affect us later. They are all interconnected. We are all interconnected. So, what is the watchword of this? The fact that everything's interconnected. It behooves one to think about what employees want, what customers want, and what vendors want. And sometime in times that are more difficult and more stressful, that going forward, I think keeping these three things in mind will open a lot of doors in the future. So here's one I like. Simon Sinek. He's written several books. This is one I really like because I think it's true in any endeavor. To be successful, we have to take financial risks. Well, all you business owners out there, you know that one really well. To feel successful, we have to take emotional risks. The reason I bring this up now is we're in a different environment. And some of the things that worked before won't work now. And that requires that new thinking that Albert Einstein's talking about. And it requires that emotional risk and emotional strength that Simon Sinek is talking about. So I have another segment here. And if you've been following my page, my profile, the posts that I've been doing, I've been talking about getting out in front of inflation.